I've been thinking about runts lately, not in the sad animal documentary way, though we'll get there, but in the way every story about outcasts secretly wants you to root for the small guy, while pretending size doesn't matter. Except size always matters when you're a predator whose entire culture is built on being an 8-foot murder enthusiast with a dental situation that could shred a phone book. So what happens when you're the one predator who ordered off the kids' menu? What happens when your dad, the chief of the murder enthusiasts, literally tries to kill you for being short? You go to Therapy Planet, obviously. Welcome to Frameshift, Deep Cut, where we talk about movies like they have feelings and we're responsible for their therapy bills. I'm here. You're here. We're all processing why a movie about an alien hunter made us feel things about families we didn't ask to examine today. Pull up a chair or a severed torso or whatever emotional baggage you've been dragging across hostile terrain. Predator, Badlands, shouldn't work. It really shouldn't work. The premise is, what if the predator was the protagonist, which sounds like studio executive mad libs? What if Batman but the villain? What if Jaws but from the shark's perspective? What if we did character development for the guy whose main personality trait has been enjoy skinning people and hanging them from trees? And yet Dan Trachtenberg, who has apparently decided the Predator franchise is his Sistine Chapel, delivers something that feels less like a cash grab sequel and more like someone sat down with Joseph Campbell's Monomyth, a field guide to ecosystems and a therapy workbook titled So Your Dad Tried to Murder You, a warrior's journey to self-acceptance. Here's what the movie thinks it's about. Dek, a vertically challenged predator fleeing to a death planet called Genna to kill an unkillable super predator called the Kalesk and win daddy's approval. Classic hero's journey. Bring back the head. Prove your worth. Get the emotional validation you've been chasing since childhood. Here's what it's actually about. What if the thing you're hunting isn't the monster, but the reason you're hunting in the first place? Because Dek lands on Genna, this planet that's essentially, if planet Earth was directed by someone's nightmares, and immediately meets Thea. She's an android. She's been ripped in half. She's played by Elle Fanning, doing so much with being a torso on a parallel bars routine, and she will not shut up. She asks Dek what does the chewing, his outside fangs or inside teeth. She wants to know everything. She's relentlessly curious in that way that makes you want to throw yourself into the nearest carnivorous plant just to escape the questions. Dek, being a revenge-driven sourpuss who has built his entire personality around working alone and being mad about it, initially treats her like an annoying Siri he can't turn off, so he carries her like a baby, then turns her around and wears her like a backpack when he gets tired of her face. I need you to understand this image, a predator wearing a chatty android torso like a JanSport, should be comedy. It should be absurd, and it is, but it's also the film's entire thesis delivered as physical comedy. Dek is literally carrying the weight of someone else's perspective. He can't see where he's going unless he listens to her. She knows the planet. He has the legs. Neither survives without the other. It's a buddy movie where one buddy is cargo. What Trachtenberg does, and this is where the Terrence Malick influence stops sounding pretentious, is treat Genna like a real place. Not a video game level, not a series of boss fights with teeth, a functioning ecosystem where creatures have relationships with each other that don't involve the protagonist. There's a scene early on where a flying creature drops rocks on a plant to make its sacks explode into organic napalm to kill prey below. Dek just watches. The movie just watches. It's not plot. It's world building as philosophy, because here's the thing about tools. They're only tools if you recognise them. A rock is a rock until you realise you can drop it on something. A plant is scenery until you understand it explodes. An annoying android who won't stop asking questions is dead weight until you realise she's teaching you how to think differently. The movie keeps asking, what's a tool? What's family? What's weakness? Thea tells Dek she was programmed to feel emotions because it improves survival. Feelings make you trustworthy. Trust makes people give up secrets. Dek, who has been raised in a culture where vulnerability is a death sentence, looks at her like she just explained particle physics using only fart noises. It's sensible, it's obvious, and it's completely alien to everything he knows. They pick up a third companion, Bud, this big-eyed monkey dog creature who mirrors Dek's movements like a kid copying a parent. Now, Dek's not just carrying Thea, he's accidentally become a dad to something that thinks he's worth mimicking. The runt who was rejected for being weak is now the strong one someone looks up to. You see what the movie's doing? It's not subtle, it's just good. Trachtenberg structures this like like a Western, specifically The Outlaw Josie Wales, about a guy who insists he works alone and keeps collecting a found family anyway, but he shoots it like a nature documentary having an existential crisis. The action is brutal and gorgeous. The creatures are specific. Every fight teaches Dec something about the planet, about himself, about what it means to adapt versus conquer. And Elle Fanning, she's doing non-verbal genius work here, playing two androids, Thea and her sister Tessa, with different personalities despite having the same programming. She makes you believe a synthetic person can change through experience. She makes you care about a character who is literally half a person for most of the runtime. When Thea says, I could survive on my own. But why would I want to survive on my own? It lands like a hymn. Because that's the question, isn't it? Not can you survive alone. But why would you want to? Dec's entire culture is built on individualism as religion. The strongest survives. Weakness is death. You prove your worth by killing something impressive and bringing back proof. But what if strength isn't killing the unkillable thing? What if strength is admitting you needed help? What if the trophy you're chasing isn't worth the person you have to become to get it? Here's the quiet part. We spend so much time trying to prove things to people who have already decided we're not enough. Dec's dad tried to kill him, tried to murder his own son for being small. And Dec's response is to risk everything to bring back a head that might make his father see him differently. How many of us are still doing that, chasing the approval of people who've made it clear we'll never be what they want, killing ourselves on death planets to prove we're worth loving? Thea doesn't care that Dec is small, but doesn't care that Dec is a runt. They see what he does, not what he's failed to be. And somewhere in that journey, Dec starts seeing it too. Not because he's fixed, but because he's chosen different company. Sometimes the things you want most are not worth wanting. And until you figure that out, you'll never be free. So, Predator, Badlands, a movie where zero humans appear, but humanity is everywhere, where a predator learns empathy from an android torso and a monkey dog, where a death planet teaches you more about living than any warrior code ever could. It's structurally airtight, it's visually stunning, it has a scene where a predator wears an android like a backpack and somehow makes you cry about it. Dan Trachtenberg has taken a franchise about trophy hunters and turned it into a meditation on what we're willing to carry for each other. Also, there's a 10-metre tall spike monster that will absolutely haunt your dreams. So that's fun. If you want more deep cuts, more movies that snuck feelings into your brain while you weren't looking, you know where to find me. Probably still arguing with a half-android about what constitutes family. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go call my dad, or maybe not call my dad. Therapy Planet has me confused.